Welcome, everybody, to tonight's Flameless Fireside podcast. Tonight, we have a pretty awesome show, and we are going to be talking with our resident dating life coach, Celeste, and discussing the tips of dating 101 tonight. She's got some good tips for us. And for anybody who has worked with her in the past or is currently working with her as a dating life coach, she's got some pretty phenomenal things to say and share with us. So we're hoping that anybody out there who might be watching us tonight, who is looking to get some more dating tips, might be able to come away with some pearls and some wisdom and some gems tonight. But before we get started, thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you have not yet, please check out our YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe and a like, thumbs up on that, and hit the notification bell because it'll prompt you every time we're getting ready to go live. So having said all of that, let me introduce everybody tonight. So I am Everett. I'm your host as normal. And we are here with Celeste, our dating life coach, who will be kind of giving us the tips and the tricks on dating in a good manner tonight and how to get the ball rolling. If you are somebody who is single and just feel like you cannot quite get off the ground or have not been able to find that love, Celeste might have some good tips for you tonight. We are also joined with Katie Youngwes, who is our on-again, off-again host. She's been with us several times, but we always love having her. She's got great advice. And then we've got, last but not least, Corey. And I could introduce him for other things, but we'll just call him Corey. Corey is with us tonight to share with us his tips and tricks on dating because Corey is a dating machine.
I'm going to tell you guys all about what not to do.
We are happy to have everybody with us tonight. So let's start off. Celeste, tell us a little bit about your dating life coach, what you've got going on right now so people can kind of understand how you fit into the whole dating life coach situation.
Well, I have obviously gone through the process of being married for 25 years, finding myself single unexpectedly, and realizing that it's a different dating world out there now than it was when I was dating originally. Like, I used to date when like phones were connected to the walls and things. So it was really a big shock. It was a culture shock. It was really, I felt really lost. So, and it was in the middle of COVID where there was not a lot of, actually there was zero activities around. So my only option was online. So I went online and I had to kind of maneuver my way through, figure it out. I learned lots along the way. And so as things progressed and I gained knowledge and understanding and figured out what worked and what didn't work, I just compiled all these notes. And at some point, I realized I was giving a lot of advice to a lot of different people. And so I decided to go and become a coach. And now I have my own business and I do it part-time. And honestly, my clients are excelling. They're doing really, really well. Excelling in different areas of their life, including dating. So I think these basics that we're going to share today, they're just a good way to build a really firm foundation to start off with. And it's any of us, or I mean, currently, obviously, I'm married now, but anybody who's still dating and still trying to find someone might be able to kind of reflect on what they're doing and strengthen an area in their dating style or, skills, whatever they want to say it as, and be able to have better outcomes and be less frustrated. So that's what I'm hoping for.
That's fantastic. I know that there are a lot of people who, I think anybody who's been through this, Katie, Corey, Celeste, we can all testify to the fact that when you're going through dating, it can be an extremely frustrating process. It's not an instant gratification where you get divorced, you meet somebody the next day, they sweep you off your feet, and you live happily ever after. So tonight, we're looking forward to talking to you about this. So, all right. Having said that, I think you've got a little presentation for us tonight, don't you?
I've got just some basic steps we can discuss, and they are basic. And I think that as we just kind of touch each of them, we can all just share what that would mean and how we have maybe each of us personally dealt with it or used it or understand it in our own dating or post-dating life. So
awesome.
So,
just real quick before we get started, I just
Yeah.
wanted to give people a kind of a feel of where everybody is at in their dating journey. So, Corey, how long has it been for you? How much dating have you done? How long has this process been?
Let's see. My divorce was final December 2014, but I've kind of been on a weird journey because 6 months after that, I moved to Mexico for work, and work took me all over the place in Mexico, and then of course being in a foreign country and with the nature of my job, being cautious of who I date, and just can't go out and date anybody. And then you're in this one of the biggest cities in the world, population wise and density, and then they don't have singles programs that you really can access down there. So I was in a family ward, right? So everybody's married, and so yeah, wasn't very prosperous during that time. It was weird. I found more people interested in dating me that were non-members than were members. I'd meet people like organically, like Celeste said, I haven't been dating since the 90s when there was no internet. And there was like no cell phones.
Yep.
So I got married in 92. So if you can imagine like dating in the 80s and the 90s, like, so so I'm entering this world where everybody's like, you have to download an app and you got to chat on the app. You gotta swipe right, swipe left. And, you got to write interesting things on your app or nobody will select you. And I'm like, this is like homework. It sucks. Like why can't I go somewhere and just be like, smile at somebody and say, hi, I'm Corey. Nice to meet you. No, I have to be clever and I have to type all this stupid stuff in an app. I have to be like, here's funny Corey and here's sensitive Corey and all this stuff so that women can like, eliminate all the guys they're looking at and maybe zero in on me. And so it's just a weird, wild world. And anybody I ever met, I always met either at an event, whether it be, I actually met a woman, not a member, but I met a woman at a baby shower. It was a co-ed baby shower. And I went there and she's single, I'm single. And she's like, hey, you want to be partners on this game where you smell diapers and there's like chocolate in the diapers and you have to like label like that's Snickers or that's
so bad.
Right. And that was like,
Okay, wait, did they have a surprise diaper in there where one of them?
Yeah, exactly. They brought a real one in. They're like, oh,
those are the right hormones and sentiments to play on though when you want to get a date.
Yeah. It was funny, but it was but that's the organic that I've done much better with like going to an event and being myself. I just feel like the dating apps, like they just don't work for me in the sense that, I can't be myself on those apps and, and somebody just judging me on my face and they're judging me on my age. Cause, I jokingly tell people, I have the body of a 20-year-old. I have the activity level of a 30-year-old. I have the income level of a 40-year-old and the wisdom of a 50-year-old. But if I have to put my age on an app, the women narrow their little search bar down and I'm never selected by anybody that I look like I'm in my 40s and no 40-year-old women will ever choose me. Mm-hmm. So those apps are just garbage to me. So it's been a wild ride.
Well, here's the thing. I think you hit on something Celeste had mentioned too, that dating today is such an ever-changing adventure that if you had been dating 10 years ago, or maybe let's go back 15 years before like cell phones, right? Before it was like a huge iPhone type thing, smartphones, not before cell phones, I guess. Gosh, I start to sound old when I say before cell phones. I wish, right? But yeah, I mean, now you've got apps, swipe right, swipe left. It didn't used to be that way. The big thing used to be just the dating sites, right? Like, so you had for LDS people, LDS Planet or LDS singles.com or whatever they were. And I don't even know if those are around very much anymore, but it's just hard to keep up. When you come out of a marriage and you enter into the dating world, it's like a smack in the face of like, I have no idea what's going on now. especially if you were married for 20 some years. Yeah, the world's passed you by as far as like how dating used to be. So
yeah, the apps are horrible. The websites are horrible. And then it's a lot of work because then you have like, how many times you got to chat? Like you have like these people try to give you tips and tricks. Like, well, you got to be clever and you can't just be like, hi. And you can't be like, you have a nice smile. Like, it's just like, what do you say? And you're like trying to come up with something clever. And then when you do, you're like, I'm going to use that for these 5 girls.
Copy and paste.
So then you don't feel authentic.
And then they're friends, and then they compare notes, and then they're like,
You
oh.
don't feel authentic. You feel like a fraud because you're like, ooh, that was a good one. I'm going to use it for 5 different girls.
We're going to get into being authentic because it's important. So, all right. How about you, Katie?
So I'm actually opposite Corey, but I also think a lot of times the women's experience is very different than the men's experience. But so I was married almost 17 years. I've been divorced 4, had one situationship, one failed engagement. And so
what exactly is a situationship?
Ooh, love that word.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it depends on the I think it depends.
If you say it depends on the situation, that's using the word as a definition. That's like
it depends on the person using the word.
That's banned. You can't use
I was going to
that.
say it depends on the demographic because in the non-LDS community, it's like hookups. I think it's a friend with benefits. I guess in my definition of it, it's we're not quite ready to be exclusive, but we go out all the time. We're dating, but we're not dating exclusively for some reason or another. But the emotions are there enough that it makes it hard to connect with other people. So I think that to me, that's what a situationship is. But I might be on my own team on that one. I don't know. If anybody else is in situationships, I'd love to hear about that. But so the dating apps. I feel really embarrassed to say this though, so don't judge me. But I'm an efficient. Like to me, it's about efficiency.
So you're the one that works the dating apps, right? You're the one on there that's swiping left on all the guys.
Well, so I have my children full time, and I work a ton of hours. So if I have 1 week, 2 weekends a month, say, to go out on dates or something, I will. Okay, let's do a Friday lunch, Friday dinner. Let's get in a Saturday lunch, Saturday dinner, and so I can easily say 200 to 250 first dates in the last 4 years, and 100% apps.
Yeah, I was probably in her left swipe category.
No,
that's why Corey's bitter because Katie was swiping left on him.
Or I wasn't even in her age group. She's like, oh no way am I going to go for that age group.
2 comments to Corey. Corey, 1, I would never guess that you were that much older than me. I don't even know how old you are, but I thought you were in my same age range.
Well, apparently pick a category. I mean, Corey's either 20, 30, 40, or 50, depending on what you're looking at.
Right,
and the best of all those decades.
Yeah, right.
2, I would actually put my age range 10 years up. And there was a poll. So I don't know if most of you remember Curtis Morley when he was talking. He does a dating mastermind course. And he sent out a poll of how high up and how low down men and women will date. And women will generally date 10 years up and 5 years down. And men were exactly the opposite. They'll go 10 years down and 5 years up. And so I would put my age range about 10 years up. But anywhere up, if I got further than that, above me, it was kind of like they were relating more with my dad's activities and music than mine. Because he's 20 years older than I am. My dad.
But it's 10 like a hard cutoff, or if you're like, well, they're 11, so we'll kind of fudge it a little bit.
It was a soft cutoff. But I did find it harder to connect, even on.
So, what is the 10 years for you? Like, what is the top? Without having, I guess you don't want to give.
Corey's trying to ask.
He's trying to say, how old will you go?
I gotta know which birthday to use next time I join the app.
I just turned 44, and my ex-husband is 10 years older than me. So for me, and I had an ex-boyfriend before that was 10 years older. So I tend to date up anyway.
I'm 54, so I'm in the cutoff.
You're in the cutoff. So see, you were in mine.
Right
there.
But you got swiped left, so you're out. Sorry.
Yeah, so it had to be a swipe left. I'm in the age group, but it had to be a
right
left.
Right.
But I'm the opposite in that when I go to social events, I rarely go to social events because I'm super introverted, and I struggle with small talk in groups. And so I would not I would go once in a while to some singles event be there maybe 15, 20 minutes, stand on the edge, be like, I really don't want to be here, and I would leave. So 0 of those dates that I had were from integrating in a natural environment. So they were all 100% dating apps. So I'm a huge fan of the dating apps, and I think there are definitely ways to utilize them to your advantage.
Right. It's called swiping right.
There's some weird statistics on those. Have you seen like the statistics outside of the church on dating apps? Like they're
like
saying
women
that
go
like
for 5% of men.
Like 20% of the men that like the top tier men are dominating like 80% of the women on these dating apps. Like the women are choosing like the doctors, the lawyers, the money makers, you know, the really good handsome guys, like, you know, and it's like that these premium guys have, I mean, this is what the articles are saying. The premium guys are getting like a pick of the litter. I mean, they're able to date so many more women than the women get access to certain men. So
that's what I hear. I wouldn't say that's 100% my experience, because I did not base who I chose a date with off of their career. Like I will go out with a welder, and I'll go out with a teacher, and I'll go out with a doctor. And honestly, the lawyers and I need to be careful, but some of the lawyers and the doctors and stuff that I communicate with, they're a little bit arrogant and maybe not my cup of tea, you know? So I don't think that needs to discourage men from trying. I think personality and other things way heavier.
Okay, so here's the only question I have. You've had, by your own admission, 200 at least dates off of dating apps. I think the big question always becomes, dating off of a dating app, you don't know what's going to be on the other end when you show up at that restaurant or whatever to meet them for the first time, right? So how many of those have you shown up for and been like, oh, this is definitely not like what they look like on their profile picture? Like, for example, we had a girl who was on the podcast once. This was a couple years ago. And she had been talking to this guy that she met on a dating app, shows up, could not find him in the restaurant, was looking around like, what is going on? This is so weird. Finally figured out it was this guy that was sitting on like a bar stool, and he was like, he had dwarfism. So he was like 4'5" or something like that, or 4 foot tall or whatever. And she's like, definitely did not know that from the dating app. So my question to you is, Miss Dating App Connoisseur, how many of those turned out to be a bad experience?
2. I
2
felt like
out of 200, 1%.
But there's a reason for that. 1, I feel like I filter and screen pretty efficiently, and 2, I get them on Marco Polo before I go out.
So you're already scouting them out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because
she's actually seeing a video clip of them, right? Do you make him hold a newspaper up with today's date?
No, but I do want to
against
see
the wall and like draw a line and use a measuring tape. Like, are you really that tall?
Okay, there are ways to kind of fill that out. Like, how long are their t-shirts and their arms? Are they rolling up their jeans? Like, there's ways you can tell in a picture, you know. But
yeah. She's like a detective.
There are ways. You have to.
Okay, so then how many of those, when you got onto Marco Polo, were you like, ooh, wow?
Nope. Oh, I dodged bullets. I definitely dodged bullets. So I would try to get him on Marco Polo or a phone call before I accepted a date. Because if there wasn't conversation, like fluid conversation, I didn't want to take the time or their money or my money for a date.
Interesting. So you get on Marco Polo, want to have fluid conversation, but you yourself are not good at small talk or fluid conversation. So I find that kind of interesting. Those poor guys.
One-on-one, I do fine.
Oh, okay. In group settings.
Yeah, in group settings, I don't like it. And there has to be pretty good fluid text chemistry before I'll move to the next level. So if the text is stagnant and boring and not very fluid, I won't even go to Marco Polo or a phone call.
Yeah. See, it looks like this is not an uncommon thing. You know, it looks like Laura's kind of had the same experience. Mm-hmm. But we did have a question here for those who are new at dating. What is Marco Polo? Tell us real quick on that. We got to get into Celeste stuff here, but
I really love Marco Polo. So Marco Polo is a face. It's kind of like video texting. So I like it because I don't have to be available right in the moment. And it's not like FaceTime where you have to sit there and hold up your phone and take time like a phone call. So you send a quick message. It's a video message that you send. And then they get it and watch it when they have a chance. And then they respond. And then you watch it when you have a chance. So it's kind of like texting where you can do it when you have time. But it's a video conversation.
Kind of like a video text.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Having said all that.
Oh, sorry. One other thing. They do have to have your phone number. So you are giving out your phone number to be able to Marco with them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But you can use the Google Voice number. So if you set up a Google Voice number for privacy, you can set up Marco Polo with that Google Voice phone number as well. Sorry, go ahead, Celeste.
Oh, no problem. We're good. I was enjoying because the truth is, this is the discussions I have with my clients. Like, there's so many different people that have experienced so many different things when it comes to dating. I agree, though, that most of them agree with Corey that it's a weird and it's a wild world out there when it comes to dating. So I've kind of come up with just some basics that I like to share with why does Corey have mine?
That's a good picture, Corey.
Sorry, that was weird. I'm like,
well, I think it's because Les decided to set up the Flameless Fireside Google account with a photo.
Nice. Okay, so when anybody pauses or gets off, it's going to be my face.
Go ahead and pause, Everett. Let's see what the picture looks like.
Oh, pause it? I don't know. Hold on a
That's
second.
so funny.
Stop camera. Let's see.
Oh,
No, wait. I don't know. I think I got.
Oh, down at the bottom. Stop camera.
There we go.
Oh, it's Everett. How did that
Everett.
happen?
I mean, Everett 12 years ago, Everett, but it's Everett. Okay. So
Hey,
here we
just
go.
before we get to start, I just wanted to get into this comment real quick. Somebody had a question from the audience that Katie and Celeste, both of you guys can kind of help with that, but I think it was a good question, so wanted to bring it up real quick. Bad at calls or texting, but are great in person. So that's a tough one because, Katie, what if that? I mean, he brings up a good point. What if it's somebody that you're like, okay, this guy would be really great, but we met on Marco Polo and it just was kind of weird. Like maybe there's that stage fright, and Marco Polo.
So that happened, and I've noticed. So sometimes they're doing we do have a lot of really good text chemistry, a lot of things in common, a lot of good foundational pieces that we match together well. And I can tell they're just really nervous on Marco Polo. That it's just not a comfortable platform for them. So I'll still go out with them. And several times I've been really surprised and impressed that in person they're great. So it's just, it gives you an idea in a sense. It's not a defining nope, you're awkward, we're done. It just helps you see their personality. It's really hard in text to see body language. And I like Marco because you're getting body language.
Very cool. Very cool.
And Everett, I want you to ask David or somebody about the games. Why does he think this is games? Or maybe I can, David, if you feel like that's where you want to take this.
So yeah, I don't know. Some people I think just feel like it is a lot of games. Like, hey, I just want to get a free meal out of it or a free date or something. I kind of don't think that is the commonplace. I don't think a lot of girls do that, but I'm sure there's some that do. And I feel like the more guys that get rejected, like maybe they've had some bad experiences. So it sort of taints their view on this a little bit. And so they sort of feel like, well, this is just a game. Like I'm not really getting anywhere. This is just, kind of something that people are running me through, but I'm not making any headway.
Right.
What do you say to that?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Anybody.
Well, Katie, I want Katie to answer on that one because.
So for me, I didn't care about free meals. I actually kind of felt bad when people would pay for a date and I wasn't interested in a second date. To me, the purpose of dating, I was dating with intent.
Yep.
I want to find my next partner. And so, but it's dating people, when we all date, one, you need to go into a date without expectations like this is the one, and then you're crushed when it's not the one. You need to go into a date with the expectations that I can make a new friend, have a good conversation, may or may not go to a second date, because there are so many moving parts, especially when you have kids, they have kids, maybe, older. There are so many moving parts that if somebody says, no, this is not a fit for me, that is not a personal rejection. This is not a fit. So I think too many people take that as a personal rejection rather than a process. Dating is a process. That's all. It's like job candidates. And I saw it kind of like job candidates. It felt like a part-time job, honestly. But it wasn't a game.
We
And I
conducted 200 interviews. So
I know it felt like
there's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to jump to her defense. There is nothing wrong with having 200 interviews. The truth is, this is a very important process. Trying to find your eternal companion is an important process. And I know we're over here saying it feels like a job. Honestly, I think it kind of needs to be a job. This is a very important thing. And if we look at it in a negative way, we're going to have negative outcomes. We're going to have negative feelings. We're just going to be, this is crappy. Everyone's playing games, and it becomes hard. But the truth is we kind of got to change our outlook, got to change the way we view it, and actually be very intentional on how we date, how we choose to engage, and why we're doing it, right? So I defend her 100%. She has every right to go on however many first dates she would like to. And I do get very sensitive to that because people, and I know a lot of guys don't like that, but the truth is I had a lot of one and dones too. I did not like to engage with people I did not want to engage with. And I actually felt that was more me being kind.
Well, also, I think that.
Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah. Well, so I think that people are, I think also the dating 101 too. I think a lot of people, their expectations are super high. Like, I mean, they really do set the expectations high, and they forget that we're a community of people who've been through a lot. Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot of extreme circumstances for us to be divorced.
Yeah.
And people have to take that into consideration, and people have to work out a lot of issues. And so maybe their path had some ups and downs. And so there's a lot of like priesthood interviews that go on with like women, like, have you in your single life ever like touched a woman, or, you know, how many women did you kiss? And, you know, and there's a lot of judgment that goes on, and women are like, no, I want a perfect Peter priesthood. And if you're not him, don't even bother texting me, you know.
And on
those
the flip side, the men want a very fit young woman. Like
exactly.
There are certain preferences. I think it's important to kind of, you know, widen our nets a little bit sometimes when we go fishing. But I think it's also okay to have your preferences. But to hop into this really quick, because I want to be able to get through at least some of these 101s. I want to start out with kind of what we're discussing here. I'm going to share this photo here. And many of you probably have heard about this, but it's just kind of like the circle of control. What do you have influence over? And then what do you actually control, right? So when it comes to dating, this is what we're going to be talking about, the smaller circle. What can you control? You can influence the people around you. You can influence those you are interested in, but you do not have control over their outcome, over their reaction, over how they feel about you, if they choose to engage or not. So we're going to talk about today, what can you do to improve your dating, and also to make sure that even if you go through a relationship, you go to a date, you go to an activity, you go in with purpose. And despite if you leave thinking you found the one, you can leave feeling fulfilled and like, hey, I did a good job and I'm a better person on the opposite end. And again, that comes with outlook. It comes with recognizing you do this with purpose. You do this. Why am I doing this? I'm going to do this with purpose because I have a goal, and my goal is to have an eternal companion. So just to start out with the very basics, we're going to talk about, and I know sometimes this gets a little touchy for women, but it is legit. It's very important, but we do need to focus on our personal hygiene, right? We want to present our best self. This is number one. So we're going to present our best self, and this is for male and female, but guys don't seem to have they don't get as offended by that concept as maybe women do.
I think guys are probably used to being told we need to take a shower or something. Like
they're used to do this.
Like, hey, you're not supposed to wear shorts and flip flops on the date. Come on, don't.
You're like, hey, you're stinky and dirty. Like, okay, yeah.
It depends on what kind of date you're doing. So yeah, honestly, if you're gonna go and do this, if you're gonna actually get into this dating realm that is super difficult, super challenging, very time consuming, emotionally draining sometimes, then you want to do it presenting your best self. Because if you don't, it's a waste of time. So I'm not saying not be yourself. You want to be authentic. And at some point in time, obviously, whoever you're dating, if it gets more down the road a piece, they're going to get to know what you look like without makeup, when you're in a swimsuit and all those things. But when you first start out, you want to present your best self. And so that goes to like Facebook. Facebook is a big option. Dating apps are a big option when you go out on single events. What are you doing? How are you presenting yourself? I try to tell my clients all the time, look at your Facebook pictures. What does it say about you? Are they good angles? Are they, is it a pretty smile? Those type of things, something you might like look past normally, but when someone's checking you out, your Facebook pictures or your app pictures, your Facebook posts, I know Corey doesn't like this, but the words you put in your apps, how you present yourself is actually very, very important for that very first impression.
I would add, Celeste, that you got to add more than just headshots.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
I've actually, I hate to say this, but I've actually been on in the past. I actually went on a date in Mexico, and beautiful woman, very beautiful. And then I showed up, and unfortunately she was really big, and that's what she was hiding. And so she was hoping that I would show up and be like, oh, okay, I'm into that. That's cool. But it was something that I didn't expect. Like everything from the face up just looked like she was normal size.
And just to clarify,
if you're hiding that, that's going to be a very disappointing for both parts.
Yeah. So I was going to say, just to clarify, it's not so much your size, because you just want to be who you are. It's not like you
be who you are and let the person know.
To be someone else. But if you're trying to hide something about yourself, if you're trying to hide an aspect, then that is where they're going to see it anyway. If they meet you, they're going to know exactly how tall or short you are, how wide or thin you are. If you're missing teeth when you smile, if you don't have any hair under your hat, like they're going to know these things. So just present yourself authentically and in the best
Especially
light.
the guys don't wear ball caps in every picture, because then you're going to show up looking like
glasses.
me.
And sunglasses.
Like, what?
Yeah, sunglasses. Take those puppies off. Get a photo in there, one sunglass shot. Great.
And for girls too, they like a guy that they want to know how tall you are. So if you can see your feet in your driver's license picture and you're trying to hide that, like, just be who you are. The other thing with this is people oftentimes they get frustrated. And so what they do is say, well, they just need to see me how I am, right? And so they'll take the worst picture of them just crawling out of bed with their hair crazy and maybe like makeup all over the place or something if they forgot to take it off the night before. And they're like, this is me at my worst. And if they can't like me at my worst, then that's not the right person for me. Like, well, okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But you only have one time to make a first impression.
Yeah.
If your first impression is your worst impression, it's probably not the smartest tactic.
And if you're one that kind of feels like that type of approach is what you want to do, I would just kind of try to self-reflect, because maybe you're trying to actually push people away so that there's no rejection. If I throw this picture out there with me just having woken up, then if I get rejected, it's because, hey, they didn't like the real me. So just be careful. Be careful. Try to understand, why am I posting this picture? Every picture, every post, every video, every interaction on any of those sites is intentional. What am I getting out of this? What does this say about me? What will other people know? So, and it has to be in your best, as your best self, whatever that best self is, just present your best authentic self. So Katie, you're so funny. Your dog is cute. You just kind of took over.
Anybody that's thinking about breaking into Katie's house, just be warned now.
Just was like, no
she
more.
has dogs.
Okay.
Right.
So I guess we'll go ahead and go on to number 2, because I know we're trying to keep these a little bit shorter, but so this is important. When you choose to enter this dating world, when you choose to make this a purposeful act, you also have to be your own cheerleader. You become your own marketing department. You become your own spotlight director. Like, you now have to put yourself in your own spotlight. You cannot expect others to do it for you. And you cannot assume, because I know sometimes in our culture that if we try to say good things about ourselves or highlight good things about ourselves, that maybe we are considered arrogant or it's prideful, and that's a negative thing. I don't believe that's true unless we start comparing. You know, hey, look at me, I'm a better snowboarder than whoever. That is not what we want to do. But hey, it's okay to say, look at me, I love snowboarding. I think it's great. Look at me on this mountain. Who wants to go with me? You know, those type of things. Presenting yourself in all of your glory, and to love yourself and present yourself as if you do love yourself and that you're a great catch. Because I have a feeling that all of you out there sit there and think, if someone knew the real me, if someone could see how awesome I really am and what I have to offer, they would want to be with me. I hear it all the time. So I have a feeling everybody thinks that. So you have to show them that. You have to be yours.
Just as a caveat too, it is a much different thing to show arrogance versus confidence. So if you're going out there bragging about, like, I am the biggest stud on the planet, all the ladies are going to want me, probably not. That's probably counterintuitive.
So Everett, are you telling me I got to change my profile statement?
I'm just saying there's been a lot of swipe left, Corey. Maybe that's for a reason.
Again, it's not about being arrogant. It's not about being prideful. It's not about trying to outdo whoever else. It's about presenting your best self and showing others what it is that you have to offer. That's a wonderful option for them. That may be a wonderful option for them. And so that has to reflect in your photos again, in your photos you use. What are you showing to them? Are you every single photo in the gym? Okay, girls don't usually like that, guys. Like, and if you do find someone who likes every photo in the gym, guess what? That's probably not the type of girl you want to attract.
Get those topless pictures of off the internet.
Or girls, you know, like, they don't necessarily need to see every like bikini shots all the time. Like, you do want to do a variety. It's great to have one or two swimsuits. That's great. You know, be confident in yourself. Your best friend should become a selfie stick. Wherever you go, you have your selfie stick. You take full body shots. Look at me, I'm hiking. Look at me, I'm out having fun with my nieces and nephews. And you highlight yourself. You show them your life. Go ahead, Katie.
Oh, you're muted.
Muted.
My dog. On the flip side, I think women need to be cautious about too much, cleavage, too many, because that's not what you want to sell, right? It's okay to be proud of you, but that's the bonus that they get. You want to sell who you are. You want to sell what's here. And then all of the other amazingness is just the bonus. But if you're selling your physical attributes, that's what they're going to be buying. And then when they're done enjoying the physical attributes, they're going to kind of go to the next one because they want to engage permanently with like the mind and soul of somebody, right? So I think it is in women's best interests to not sell their physical attributes as their number one attribute.
Yeah, you don't have to have every picture again in your swimsuit. That is not going to attract the right type of guy, right? Who are you trying to attract? And to answer Deborah's question here, I think showing vulnerabilities is a good thing as long as you understand why you're sharing them, and you're not sharing them to get a certain reaction. Again, we're talking about inside this circle of control. So I would like to share because I want them to understand me better. I'd like to share because this is a part of me that they need to know if we are going forward. Have a real purpose as to why you're being vulnerable. It's not, I'm sharing this with him because I want him to feel sorry for me. I want to get a reaction from him. I want him to do something or say something. That takes it right out of that circle, and there's you would never want to do something to get a reaction or have someone react in any way or say to you. That is a form of manipulation, and it really is not a good tool. But if it's to let someone know you more, just to your core, then I think there's nothing wrong with that. There's a time and a place, but I think it's okay.
And vulnerability without pessimism.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Guys, anything on that one? You good?
No,
Guys don't like being vulnerable. Us girls are like, oh yeah, okay, we like this topic.
Well, I think
Guys are like,
I think maybe vulnerability is good, but proceed, I would say, a little bit with caution. Not maybe the first date and just open yourself up
Right.
entirely. Give it some time, open yourself up slowly, because you could be dating somebody who just completely looks at vulnerability as a weakness and an exploit option. So
also be careful. Yeah, be careful of the virtual signaling too, like the overdoing it of like, like I'm so great, I'm so spiritual. Like I think that can oversaturate. It almost it does come off as like boasting or
well, it's somebody overcompensating for something else, right? There's an insecurity there, and so they're going to come out and try to present a false self. We don't need falsities. We need authentic people, but we need them sharing, their best self. And again, I agree with Everett. There is a time and a place for being vulnerable. If you tend to be someone who opens up too soon, kind of rein it in. If you tend to be someone who doesn't like to open up, practice sharing a little more each time. And maybe it will become a little easier for you. So know yourself.
Well, and I think one comment on that too is the people I connected to the most and had the most fun with, both texting, Marco, first dates, third dates, are the people that did not get into all the hard stuff first.
Yeah.
That it didn't feel like an interview, and that didn't give me all of their divorce baggage all at once, and that didn't dig into all of my divorce baggage all at once. Because if you think 20 years ago when we were dating, we didn't talk about our baggage. We talked about what's your favorite food? What do you love to do? What are your favorite movies? So it was that more natural integration of like personalities, and not, so there's very distinct groups of people when they're getting to know you. Some want to dig right into the hard and dirty and deep to see whether or not you check off their boxes. And that's like, or it's like, okay, let's just get it over with, right? And others just want to have fun and interact and make friends and collaborate. And those are really, really fun. And those are some people that I thought, okay, like they're kind of not my type, but they're really fun to interact with. And they got way further down the line on dates because they were fun, So I think if you can put away the big hard stuff until you like them enough that you want to share that, I think
exactly
that's what to do.
Yeah, I think if you open it, go ahead, Corey.
I was going to say, we have to show that we have balance in our lives, right? So we have to show that we're the physical side of us, the spiritual side of us, and the intellectual side of us. Like we have to show the three. It's like a triangle, and that has to be an equal balance. Like I saw that Mike Webb put on there, like all the pictures he sees on some profiles is all temple pictures, right? Well, now you're out of balance because now, so are we going to be like, we'll never watch TV, we'll never go anywhere, and we're just going to read scriptures all the time? Am I meeting a woman that's just totally into like nothing but religion? Or, is this person going to ever go on a hike, or are they ever going to talk about a book we read? So you got to have that equal balance in your life. It can't just be 50 pictures of the temple and one picture of you hiking,
And my question would be, if let's say I had a client who did that, I would ask them why are you sharing every photo of the temple? Their storyline might be, my ex left the church, or I kept having to be, I was the spiritual leader in the home, and that's not what I'm looking for now. And I try to show them, it's like, your insecurity in this is kind of hindering the opposite sex. They're seeing only one side of you, which is where you need to present your complete self, your authentic self. Yes, show temple pictures, great. Show videos of you walking up to temple on a Facebook Live and say, hey, I'm about to go to the temple. This is great. I'm so excited. Show yourself that way. But you, again, well-rounded. Why are you sharing it?
I think another insecurity that really tanks your opportunity to move forward is when people overshare about all of the negatives about their ex, because they're trying to validate, I'm not a terrible person, like I'm divorced because, and they'll spend all of the first conversation or first date trying to justify why they're now single. But that doesn't need to be brought up yet. We're all divorced. We're all divorced for a reason,
Most of us. Yep.
And I think that doesn't all need to be shared right in the beginning. You can wait. You don't have to give your darkest, hardest moments to strangers every single time you meet somebody, So I think
Corey's suddenly realizing why there's so many swipe lefts.
the dates that I'm like looking at my watch at are the ones where they won't stop talking about their ex-wives and their divorce process.
And that is kind of
that's also my bio line. I should probably get rid of that too.
Yeah, do that.
But if you want, I'll take a look at your profile. Give you some feedback.
And I think that's an insecurity. Again, they're going to throw that out there because they kind of might still kind of question maybe some of the things their ex has said in the past might be true, and they're still trying to maybe overcome the gaslighting or whatever, which is why I would say, again, why are you saying these things? What's your intention? Does this highlight who you are? That isn't even about you.
Right.
So, if you're sharing too soon, if you're vulnerable too soon, you got to kind of reflect and ask, why is that? Why do I do that? And how can I shift that to where I'm more authentic?
Right.
My ex's issues is not mine. That's not me being authentic. That's me being defensive. So in case they leave, I can use an excuse. So, ask yourself, why am I sharing this information?
Right.
Is it about me? Does it highlight me? Is it of my best self? My ex is probably not the best part of who I am. So it's out of control. So yeah, I would not definitely share too soon. The next one, let's move on to the next one here. We have set yourself up for success. So this is a kind of I think it's kind of a unique thing I have my clients do, or I encourage them whenever they're posting, whenever they are adding to a site, an app, whenever they are going to a conference, a date, whenever any type of activity that is singles related, before the event, I ask them to write goals for it. And this is why, because you might think that's kind of weird. Why would I write a goal when I'm going to an LDS singles dance? And here's why, because again, we're trying to stay within our realm of control. If you have goals to go to this dance and you're like, I want to have fun. I want to dance with so many different people. I want to find my eternal companion. And, you kind of got all these ideas, but some of those are not in your realm of control. You might leave frustrated. You might leave, I'm never coming to one of these again. You might leave, this was a waste of my time. So if you have personal goals, I'm going to sit and talk to 3 different people. I'm going to, even if I'm a female, ask 3 different people to dance. I'm going to ensure that I participate in slow dances as well as fast, whatever it is you want to come up for a goal, so that when you leave that dance, you've fulfilled your goals. It doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. It doesn't matter if you found your eternal companion, and you can leave feeling like, you know what, that was a success because I'm a better person at the end of this dance because I was able to fulfill the goals that I gave for myself. And so I always ask them, whenever you're doing anything, what is the purpose? What do you want to get out of it? And then document that so you know exactly what you want to get, so that you aren't frustrated, so you're not upset, and that you're not walking away going, I didn't find my correct person, my eternal companion. Once again, I'm never going back, because it's an outlook thing. So that is a kind of a unique thing. It's kind of odd. At first, people are like, I don't understand how that works. But every single time, if they follow through, they write goals, they do the goals, they come back, they are glowing. And even if they didn't find somebody, they're just like, oh my gosh, I left so fulfilled. I left feeling like, look what I've done. I've pushed myself out of my comfort zone, because the goals need to be a little bit, outside your comfort zone. And I am a stronger and better person on the opposite of that end of that event than I was going in. And that's a win-win. And you are in control and you have become a better person than you were to begin with.
So 3 phone numbers. Every time you go to the dance.
Yeah, exactly.
3 phone numbers.
There you go. It
Corey's
could
won
be
3
phone
swipe
numbers.
right. Every time, 3 swipe right.
But it has to be, again, it has to be something that you have control over. It can't be 3 guys are going to ask me to dance, because you have zero control with that. You know, I want 2 people to ask me out on a date. Zero control. So they have to be 110% something you can do, you can fulfill, and there needs to be a purpose as to why that is a part of your goal setting for that event. And if you go into especially large events, large conferences, those types of things, and you come home feeling much more fulfilled, even if you haven't, found somebody.
I love this. Go to have fun, try and learn everybody's names.
Yes.
That's an obtainable goal. That's exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And then if you leave, you had fun, you danced, and you know everybody's name, even if you haven't found Mr. Wonderful or Mrs. Perfect, guess what? It was a huge success, and you're a better person on the opposite end.
Not Mrs. Perfect. We're not looking for perfection.
Well, some people are. We won't get into that, but yes, you know.
Looking for perfection, you're just going to be single for a long time.
Exactly.
That's true. That is very true.
And can you bring perfection to the table? Because if you can't, you shouldn't be looking for it.
I love how Elder Uchtdorf puts it. If you really found somebody that was perfect, you think they'd be interested in you?
Exactly.
So, right.
Ooh, that's a burn. That's a huge burn.
But it's applicable to all of us.
Yep, it's legit, because none of us are perfect.
Right.
If you're looking for, and I do think there are some that really get hung up on, I've got my checklist. This is exactly what I'm looking for. If I see a flaw, if I see a red flag, I'm going to run.
Mm-hmm.
You will always be running, because everyone has red flags. Everyone has imperfections. Everyone is still growing, learning and developing. So you will always be looking. So if that's you, try and change that habit, because it's just shooting yourself in the foot. So
I like to experiment with the apps, play around with the app sometimes. So one time I signed up for the app and I put on there, it's asked how many times, it says how often do you go to church? And I put sometimes, which was true. I was like, I'm going to be honest and truthful, because with my job, I travel a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm out of the country for like a month and I didn't go to church for a month, So I'm being honest. But I think what happens is people look at that and they go, ooh, I don't want to be with a guy who goes to church sometimes.
Exactly. But that's one thing about the dating apps. That's why I'm not I know Katie loves them.
And
I don't like
dating. Can you
dating
set a setting, like not only age, but can you set like an age and a height and then activity level? Like, can you also go on there and say, I don't want anybody to come my stack that goes sometimes?
Oh gosh, maybe. It might be option. But this is the thing, like as long as you're trying to at least present your best self in a positive way, like you could put something in there, hey, I put sometimes because of X, Y, and Z. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the dating apps, like at all. I don't like swiping. I don't think that's, I don't know. I just am not huge. I do love Facebook. I do think that's a great thing. I do love singles events. I think those are awesome.
I just want David to know that is false advertising. I never fall asleep during movies.
Oh.
It's a lie. It's a pernicious lie. I don't know where that even got out to. So.
I'm here to testify.
To this day, Everett can't tell you how a movie ends. Hey, man.
Hey. Sometimes I can tell you how it starts and ends. I just can't tell you a lot about the middle of it. So,
well, really quick, just to wrap this up, we're going to do number 5 really quick. And this is just mainly like, where are you sending your focus? Where are you going to give your energy? And like Katie, she loves the app, so that's where her energy goes. And she's going to do what she knows. And it sounds like she's doing a really good job of utilizing the apps. I think that if you figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, just let go of the stuff that doesn't. I was on apps for like a millisecond. Off I went. I did not like how they felt. I did not like anything about them. I wanted more personal interaction. I loved Facebook because I could chat. I could video chat, and Messenger gave a safe space for me. And that's what I utilized most of all. But But I do want to say that I know there's a lot out there. I know because we're kind of running out of time, but there's a lot that will say, I don't live in Utah. I live outside of Utah. I live in another country. And there are very little activities. And I won't say names, but I have somebody who lives international that's one of my clients. And I encouraged her. I'm like, she's like, we don't have a lot going on. And I've encouraged her to try to become like the face of her local singles events. Try to bring people together. Try to utilize the services you have on like Facebook and things, and create chats, create messenger chats. Get out there and involve yourself. Get out and get some effort and become that face that people know, hey, this individual always has their pulse on what's going on in the singles world. And that way you're out, you're being active, you are doing what you can do. And that allows the Lord to open up more doors in your path. If you are sitting there on your couch, waiting for Heavenly Father to bring you your mate and stick him on your doorstep, it probably isn't going to happen. If you have a same routine where you're just kind of like, I go to church, I go to work, I come home, when you're weak and there's not any variation, maybe mix that up. Try new things, get yourself out there. The more steps you take toward finding your companion, the more opportunities the Lord has to work with. And He can open up lots of different doors, bring lots of different people into your life who could be a good fit for you. And you might not get those opportunities if you don't get yourself out there. So where are you focusing your energy? If there isn't a lot going around, if there's not a lot going on around you, be that person who starts doing the things that can create the events and making things happen all around you. Because then people will start coming. And then you'll be meeting new people and more opportunities. So I know that Katie is involved in a lot of singles events, or with some of her friends that do like conferences and things like that. So I know she gets out there and does a lot of things. And I'm sure that you meet a lot of people that way. I'm sure you meet new singles all the time that way.
I tend to do better when I'm on the organizational side of it than if I'm on the participant side of it. Because I have a purpose. And I'm getting to know people's names, and I'm creating like friendships and relationships. But if I'm there as a participant, I'm sitting in the corner of people watching. And
because there's less pressure. Don't you feel like if you're the one behind the scenes kind of just organizing, you don't feel like there's pressure when you're meeting people, because that's your job. It's your job to be friends. It's your job to make people feel welcome and to get to know them. And then there's no pressure like, oh, did that person think I was interested in them because I was being kind? So it does, the more you're behind the scenes and putting things together and becoming that face of the singles in your area, the more people you'll meet, the more opportunities you'll have for the Lord to work in your life. So yep, we didn't get through it all, but we'll stop there. That's what I've got. So
I also think on that piece is that, so we do need to depend on the Lord to bring our fit to us, right? Like, because we do have a fit. I don't know that I believe in the one or whatever.
No, I don't
but
either.
We have people that will fit with us better than other people, but we have to be that person. So we have this checklist, but do we meet that checklist? Exactly. We have our list of we should have a list of green flags, a really small list of red flags, and a huge list of green flags. We should be looking for those green flags. But if we don't meet it, we're not ready to meet that person yet. We have to meet our own list of green flags to be ready to meet our person. But then we can't just sit at home hoping that they'll bump into us at the grocery store. We have to do our part. And that's why I was dating like a crazy person, because I feel like there were some weekends when I'm like, I am too tired to do this. But then I'm like, okay, I'm not doing my part. I'm not doing my part. And this last year, I'm like, I just want to be done. And when you said I love the dating apps, that's totally overstating. I do not love the dating apps. I do not
utilize the dating apps. I didn't utilize them. I don't like them.
Anybody is looking to date Katie, hop on the dating app right now. You'll find her.
Several months ago, I made the decision, I'm going to be done. My kids are almost out of high school. There's 2 years left. I'm going to just be done until they're out of high school. There's less moving parts. It'll be easier to be done. And then I thought, okay, well, I'll just kind of leave. I paused the apps for a little while, and I thought, no, I'm not doing my part if I do that. So I opened them back up again, and literally, but I felt like I'm in a place where I'm the person that I want to be. Like I feel good about where I'm at. And I wanted to put the disclaimer out there that I did meet somebody on the dating apps. I am in an exclusive relationship, and I do feel like within the next, it depends on whether you ask me or him, in the next 6 to 12 months, I'm going to be permanently deleting them all. So, but it takes.
Okay, wait. Is he watching this now, and does he know this? Is this a surprise to him? Is he like, oh, okay?
The timeline is still negotiable, but.
Yeah. Well, I would add to that too, that if you're not into the apps and you're trying to meet somebody like organically at a date, at a dance or church or something, and you're going to a singles event, I would caution the introverts that go to those events to try to get out of your shell, because I think there's a lot of women that, because they're quiet, and some women just have resting angry face or resting upset face, and they don't know it. They're just sitting there kind of, they don't know they have that. And so a guy's like, oh, they start to walk up to say hi, and they're like, oh, she looks like she's mean, or she looks like she might look at me and go, who do you think you are talking to me?
I've been very unapproachable at those events.
Well,
and
that's
I'm not
why you go in with a goal.
Person.
I know I'm introverted. I know this is not my comfort zone.
Go there and smile.
And talk to 2 people.
Or intentionally smile when you're sitting there.
Right. My goal is to smile. My goal is to talk to 2 people. My goal is to ask one person to dance. Something that fits for you, but it's beyond your comfort zone, and that you can feel good when you leave.
I have no problem walking up to somebody and just striking up. That's like kind of my wheelhouse, is coming up with a topic. I can see something happening in the environment. I can watch somebody react to that, and I can walk up and crack a joke and break the ice and start talking. But if somebody goes, and because they're just super shy and they don't respond to my joke, or they go, funny, and you're like, wow, okay, resting angry face.
Yes. All right. Let's, having said all that, let's kind of wrap it up here. Thank you, everybody that's been on for tonight. Just a couple of housekeeping items. For those who are with us for the first time, we're happy to have you here. Please go to our YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button and the like button, and also hit that notification bell so that it will give you notifications every time we go live and when we upload new videos. Next week, we are going to have a very special show. We are going to be discussing Sound of Freedom. We have some inside information for those who have worked in this. We're going to have some exclusive interviews. It's going to be one that you're not going to want to miss. So if you have not yet, please check us out again on YouTube. If you're on Facebook, it might be an easier way to watch it on YouTube. We highly recommend that. Seems to be a better stream for you. So again, thank you, everybody. We are so happy that everybody was here tonight and we had this discussion. Wonderful. And one last thing, if you are trying to reach Celeste and would like to have some coaching services, let me kind of put that up here. growthmindsetdating@gmail.com. If you're interested in getting a little dating advice, a little dating coaching from a certified dating life coach, send her an email. She's pretty good. She's got some good info. She won't do you bad, I promise.
I won't. I've got some successful clients out there and they're doing great. So Absolutely.
All right, guys. Having said that, thank you, everybody. It's been a great show. Love you all. Hope to see you next week. Again, next week's going to be very special. Don't miss us. Have a great night.